Hi, I'm Olly Moore, and this is my poem, The Truth of What It's For. I think it's called, yes. The Truth of What It's For, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if audiences are wondering why I'm holding a Sports Girl journal. This is sponsored by Sports Girl. It's because I lost my feelings journal and someone gave me a jokey Sports Girl gift for Christmas. So, 2023, I didn't get diagnosed. I had a new disability that affected my movement and balance, and they didn't know what it was. They diagnosed me incorrectly, and said it would go away in a few weeks, and then that's why I used the cane. And I've been feeling like I'm about to sneeze for like 30 seconds, and there's like a tension in the room because of it. I had found that people had approached me on the streets asking what the cane was for, which was very difficult for me and quite triggering because I didn't actually know what my disability was. So I just told people I had a neurological disorder without knowing what it was. And then the poem was just a catharsis of like getting out all these silly comments that people made and coming up with like fantastical answers. So I'd been going to BPS for like 9 years as an audience member before I actually performed there. And I guess when I first went, I never imagined myself on the stage. But a few years ago, I started to think, oh, maybe I could do this because I was writing poetry, but it was kind of like trauma dumpy type poetry that wasn't great. So I was looking for the right poem, the right moment in my life, where I felt like I could share something with humour as well as my coping mechanism. What's that for, they say, pointing at my cane. You're a bit young for that, aren't you? In the elevator. Gone a bit lame, have you? They say in the swimming pool change room. So these are actual situations where I've heard these questions, and I've tried to escalate the level of irritation I feel at each of them. What's that for? Could be just out of curiosity. You're a bit young for that, aren't you? Demonstrates a lot of ignorance. Gone a bit lame, have you? Is just so offensive. Also, it was in a swimming pool change room. It was a vulnerable moment for us all. And it was not a great moment to pick saying that. So I thought I'd just set it up with some examples of what people were saying and why this poem was written. So it's quite a simple setup in the end. After the poem, I ended up using one of the lines to someone on the street who asked me one of those questions. She didn't actually say, what's that for? She went, what is that? And pointing at my cane. And she was beautifully made up drinking goon in a park. So I don't know her situation, but yeah, I used one of the lines from the poem. Yeah, and then I also knew in my poem, maybe I didn't come across as much in this small performance, but I also wanted to use different voices and like different impersonations of the kinds of people who said that, and we'll get to some other impersonations as well throughout the poem because that's kind of my performance style as well. First of all, none of your business. You have no right to know. But if you must know what it's for, let me tell you the truth. So this is more of a setup type stanza where I just wanted to make a point that you have no right to know. I think people do know that. Most people know that, but just to put it out there, that this is the kind of behaviour you shouldn't be doing. I think it's pretty obvious from the context. But let me tell you the truth is the point where people are like, okay, what is this for? Like, what is the truth? And so hopefully it sets up the next stanza well, and people are curious about the answer to these questions. It's my Willy Wonka cosplay. It's poison tipped. I'm an assassin. It's a conversation piece for situations exactly like this. It's for the parking sticker. You got me. It's an excuse for not getting on the dance floor at weddings when they play party rock anthem. I thought I'd pick something obviously ridiculous with the Willy Wonka line straight up. And then some lines I'm like not in love with, but it's necessary to keep the flow going, like it's poison tipped, I'm an assassin. It's just increasing the absurdity. It's a conversation piece. People were genuinely using it as that. It's for the parking sticker. Some people do genuinely... People are very funny about parking stickers, and if they don't see a cane immediately, if you have an invisible disability, they can be quite abusive towards people. So I think that's why I put that one on there. And then it's an excuse for not getting on the dance floor. That one's another one based in reality, where at some points in life, I am so glad I have the cane. I was at a wedding. I hate Party Rock Anthem. It is the worst song in existence to me. They were playing it. Everybody was on the dance floor. And I was just like, oh, so sorry. So sorry to... And I just sat comfortably on the edges with the older folk. And that was a joyful moment for me.
I personally love Party Rock Anthem.
It's artistic differences, so my disability is going from visible to invisible as I still have movement and balance issues, but kind of not enough for me to need a cane, but I still can't stand for very long. I still can't be very agile and things like that. But without a cane, you can't actually, there's no visible sign that I can't do that. So my tendency now is to, I'm trying, my physio tells me to do this as well, is not use my cane in all situations. But I find I'm more comfortable. It's kind of like an anxiety aid because I've had flare-ups in public before and not being able to get home, which is quite scary. So this really helps soothe my anxieties, but also on public transport. It's kind of like I can just sort of wiggle it slightly around the people at headphones sitting on all the seats, and they go, and then it's quite, I don't know if it's funny to me, but they pull out their headphones and they're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And then not only does one person stand up, but two people stand up, and then three people stand up. And it's like, I am one person. I do not need 3 seats. But there's something, people feel really guilty about sitting down if one person has to stand up. So yeah, I've like cleared an entire bench one time accidentally, as all these people felt really guilty and stood up one by one. So this is powerful. Oh, I think you're having a little joke. What's it really for? And that's just using my boomer male voice to continue the conversation and bring back the character from the start and kind of add a dialogue element to the piece to keep it dynamic and also keep the setup obvious and keep the setup going. Like when Chris Rock is doing his performance, I'm not calling myself Chris Rock, but when he's doing his comic performances, sometimes he says the premise over and over again, like he does. He says, I don't know. I don't know if this is an actual one, but probably like 20 years ago, he'd be like, the way men drive cars versus the way women drive cars. And then he'd tell some jokes. And then and then 30 seconds later, he'd be like, this is how a woman drives a car, or something stupid. To be clear, I don't enjoy sexism, so clicks for anti-sexism. Yeah, misogyny, boo. It's so I have a way to relate to my grandma. It's for the job opportunities as a scarecrow. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's a bayonet if I'm ever in the trenches. It's a harpoon for my weekend whaling habit. I wanted to use grandma because BPS is great in that you mention a family member and they're either like, if it's family love, or like if it's family trauma, they're like, So I thought it'd be funny to get an or, and I told my grandma about it, and she only uses a cane very occasionally, and she's very proud, and she actually didn't like it, so I probably shouldn't have used it, but I told her, Granny, you're not a punchline, it's fine, the other people are the punchline. Ironic, but I think I tried to deliver it in a way that I was like, so I have a way to relate to my grandma, and then or people just automatically like, so I couldn't predict every single reaction, but then I watched the video back and people did all, and I think that's really cute. I appreciated that. And then the scarecrow and LinkedIn. I don't know, that's one of my favourite lines because it's so silly. Why would a scarecrow be on LinkedIn? Humour. And then the bayonet and harpoon are kind of like a clearly absurd, but they're not punchlines in themselves. They are leading to the next line. They're a setup for the next stanza to make for that to be funnier itself. Because bayonet, harpoon, they're quite violent, ridiculous imagery. It makes the next line funnier, I think. Oh, righto, maybe I should just go. Oh, don't go, Barry. There's more. None of them have been called Barry, but they all have a certain Barry energy. I'm white, I can make fun of Barrys. Yeah, the ridiculous imagery is to make it more credible that Barry's starting to feel quite uncomfortable in this situation, that he might want to go now that I'm getting really weird. I tried to be really enthusiastic and like, don't go, Barry, there's more. And Barry just being one of those names that is like plus 65 white male, which is generally the demographic that feels the urge to come up to people, or come up to me in particular. I'm white, I can make fun of Barry's was actually, Bilal was, I just think white people are funny. Like, it's just so funny to make fun of white people. And, Bilal has his bit at the start where he, talks about, white people getting offended at, BPS stuff and how one person left, and I just thought it would be funny to kind of, whether it's obvious or not, just reference what was said like an hour ago about. So I thought of that whilst he was talking, and preparing in my head the poem. And I was last on, so I had a lot of time to run through all the catastrophic scenarios that could have happened. I've watched the video back, and to me, the bit I enjoy is that some woman in the crowd just cackles, like it's satisfying to hear people like, but to hear a woman be like, ha! Is like fucking fantastic. And even if it's just one person, she like cackles for another 5 seconds in the background. It's just, this is when I think I really brought the crowd on side. At this point, I could feel the energy in the room kind of shift around don't go Barry, there's more, as people kind of really got on board with the concept. Not that they were resisting or anything, but there was kind of a breakdown between me, and I felt the barriers fall down between me and audience be really on my side in this dialogue. Just at the very, very, very back of my head, as I was trying to stay present in the performance, I was like, they're liking it, let's keep going. Yeah, the way I prepared for this was to memorize it, but memorize it and make myself repeat it in situations where I wasn't expecting it to. Like, as soon as I wake up or went to the toilet, I'd be like, do the poem, and and then I'd have to repeat it I made myself repeat it. And so it meant that I felt confident that I could remember it in all situations. Because when I was consciously trying to think of it sitting outside, I sometimes I hate bringing bags and things because it disrupts my gait. So I didn't bring any copies of it. So yeah, I knew it had to be memorized, and so I felt like I could stay present because I was just focusing on performance and delivery, and I had something to think about. Like, I think I might have got nervous if I was reading off paper, because there more can go wrong. Well, things can go wrong if you're memorizing, but there's more to think about if you're doing that. Whereas I was really focusing on the performative aspect of the poem, and like kind of wringing the audience dry for all reactions I could muster from them. Yeah. It's for my Lucius Malfoy fantasies. It's to part the crowds like the Red Sea to get to the bus's accessible red seats. It is to strike Saruman from the mind of King Theoden, and to tell the Balrogs they shall not pass. I think we've got someone coming in to tell me to be quiet. No, it's okay.
It's okay.
This is probably my favourite stanza of the poem, because saying it's for my Lucius Malfoy fantasies is a delicious feeling. It is like so fun and wrong and weird and just an odd thing to say in front of like however many people are in the room. And yeah, a lot of people have told me over the last year and a half that I should get one of those canes with a serpent's head that Malfoy has, that he uses to go, "Draco, no!" and like whack his hand and stuff like that. And I almost put in a line about how I could use it to trip small children, and I thought that's not likable. I should probably take that out. But yeah, the Malfoy line came from people telling me to get the serpent's head. But that has no cushioning. It's a mobility aid, not a style choice. So it doesn't work. And then the Red Sea lines, I thought could get more. This is like the epic stanza where it's biblical, it's Harry Potter, and it's Lord of the Rings. Rewatching Lord of the Rings with this new disability changed my favourite moment from the films, because there's a part where I think it's Legolas, Gimli, Gandalf and Aragorn have to disarm before going into Theoden's hall, and the guards ask for Gandalf's staff, and he goes, "You would not part an old man from his walking stick," and then obviously he's really badass with his staff once he gets in, and it's kind of like that with this, like, "You would not part a young man from his walking stick," is something I think of. "Oh, look, I'm sorry, I asked." "No, Barry, you should not be sorry. Yet!" And that's a fun line. The dialogue continues as he becomes more uncomfortable. And "No, Barry, you should not be sorry." The pause there, I just found a really good feeling, because I knew "yet" was coming, so it's just an exciting feeling when it was on stage. Having a think about the poem for this has made all the memories come back, and there are a lot of memories densely packed within 3 minutes. So the gap between sorry and yet is one of my favourite moments. And it's another twist of the... Oh, that's a bit violent. Twist of the knife.
Twist of the pen.
Twist of the pen, yes.
Twist of the cane?
Yeah, twist of the cane. That's it. "If you must know, it is to cast spells upon those who wrong me. If you must know, it is wrong to be nosy. You have wronged me, Barry. Now flee to your family with your able body. Make haste and hope that I have mercy, for we, the disabled, are all-powerful." yeah, I don't know. This is maybe my equal favorite stanza because of how it builds. I heard someone woo, which you don't always get. Whilst I was performing, and I was like, it's going well, bring it home. And I did get a little bit distracted after I said, it is wrong to be nosy, you have wronged me, because I knew it was going so well. I knew I was nearly there. So I very briefly lost where I was at. And then I didn't have written down that I was going to say, Barry, but I needed to cover up that I'd forgotten where I was. So just said that. And yeah, the run home was just really enjoyable. Make haste is, again, for my own enjoyment, because King Theoden, once he has Gandalf strikes Sauron from the mind of King Theoden, soon after, Theoden says, make haste to the Riddermark. And that's kind of for my own enjoyment, rather than as if anyone in the audience is like, oh yes, to the Riddermark. Very good. Oh, what a wise poet that is. For we, the disabled, are all powerful, and I knew I'd lift it like this. And when I performed it, I saw a video of me performing at the poetry night to 8 people. And I did this and immediately stood up. And I thought that didn't look as good. And it made me think of Jerry Halliwell at Wembley Stadium when the Spice Girls were performing. When she finishes performing and she goes, thank you, London! And she puts her microphone in the air and they just hold the pose, panting for like 20 seconds. And I'm like, this is my Jerry Halliwell moment. Just cane in the air, hold, and now stand. So, yeah. And I just enjoyed it so much. It was a great experience. Now flee with your able body to your home and pray that I have mercy, for we, the disabled, are all powerful. Thank you.
Like, I'm trying to stay out of the video, so I'm like silent. But you're making it really hard.